What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna make a full review for the Romancing Festival Sumire banner that brings Sumire, a slash and pierce damage dealer with some counter mechanics, Asura, a full counter specialist for one turn clears, and Alan, a martial artist that deals big damage but relies too much on RNG. Let's start talking about Sumire. She is a sword user with very low endurance. She was made for boss fights but does not have much sustain, so we have a focus on STR and agility, and these status are not even that high. At least will is okay for a character for boss fights. Now for passives we have attack tactics. When she lands a weak attack, she will grant herself an attack boost of 20% damage increase that lasts for 2 turns. It says lasts for 2 turns, but in all honestly it's just the next turn, because the first turn counts, the second one is where you get the effect, and then on the third turn you cannot have the effect anymore. So effectively only 20% starting from turn 2 onwards. Then we have 2 different effects. Not turns, she will enter herself an evasive counter stance, taunt, and if she gets hit with direct attacks, she will evade and counter with Sumire counter, a C power slash attack that recovers BP. The attack itself is not strong. It's more about trying to get BP back and evading direct attacks. Then we also have another effect. On even turns, she will recover her HP by around 900, small effect, and will enter a stealth stance of large effect that lasts for 1 turn. So she taunts in 1 turn, stealths in the another. Why? Well, I don't understand why they made this. It makes sense when you design a ninja, but in this game, when you want to use counter mechanic, you have to think about the formation that you're gonna use. Like we use Rising Phoenix X, we use Tiger's Break, we use sometimes Desert Lance X, but if you are using her on another formation like Tiger's Den, for example, then it will make a little more sense, because she will draw more enemy attacks if she's placing on the front, and then on the next turn she stealths and heals. But you are not getting too much from this counter strategy. Only on odd turns you have chance of getting me back in countering. The damage won't matter too much. It's more about, you know, healing every 2 turns and protecting her, because she has a very low endurance. And when you are fighting against a boss, you don't know if it's gonna use only direct attacks. It's probably gonna use indirect, like spells or even physicals, and she's gonna take plenty of damage. Then the second passive is called Energizing Focus 2. Weak attack damage increases by 15%, and she recovers 2 BP when she lands a weak attack. That means that the counter, if landing a weak attack, will actually recover 3 BP. That's nice, and when she's attacking normally, she gets 5 BP per turn if she's landing weak attacks. Nice because of the skill rotations that I'll talk about later. Then we have Fired Up 7 that increases damage by 40% at all times. So we have 40% at all times on turn 1, 55 if you are landing a weak attack, and then you have 75% damage increase by turn 2 onwards, because she will have the attack boost. For the amount of value, it's not that bad, but notice, she does not have any damage reduction passive, and for very hard challenges, we want that for the character to survive. Her endurance is not good, and the counter mechanic does not make it much better. It looks like the recent Kid Me KO strategy, where he does not have damage reduction passive but keeps healing all the time, that can try to make the character survive, but if you take too many big nukes from an enemy in 1 turn, you will just die. It doesn't matter if you're gonna heal the next turn if you're dead. Then let's talk about skills. We have Quick Blade. For free, you have this slash and pierce attack with the same mod as a normal attack, better because it can level up, and it will increase her action order. So she wants to go first. Her agility is also pretty high, but I would much prefer an agility buff instead of an action order, because with very high agility we can evade. Action order just allows her to attack before, so it makes no much difference in my opinion. Then the second skill is called Ninjutsu Swallow Throw. For 7 VP, we have a slashing burst attack that hits all enemies. It has B power and 21 mod. It's not that big, not that bad, but it will not allow you to kill waves. You have to bring a helper. And she can use this 2 times in a row if she hits enemy weakness. Then the third skill is called Hisatsu, Sakura Chaos. For APP, you have a double S power attack with slash and pierce again, and it's fast, so it's good, because she goes first, and she will also apply defense down for 1 turn with medium effect. That will decrease the defense of the enemy by 25%. And I said in other reviews that this not translate into 25% increase in overall damage, be something close to 10%. Then the other characters from your party will do more damage on the enemy as well. But it's just about 8 PP, so that means that if she triggers her energizing focus a lot, especially when countering, she can use this pretty often. But how much does this change the flow of battle? 10% more damage with other characters, or a character that will just do big damage herself. She's not really a nuker, and she deals slash and pierce. Slash is covered by Lian, Pierce is covered by Chooser, and they are much better characters. Even Pierce can be covered by Darket, and Slash can be covered by so many others as well. So she would have to have something to explain her utility, bringing her instead of the others. The only case I can think of is if you need to bring Pin of Victory to buff SDR, Endurance, Agility, and Intelligence. This will help increase her bad endurance and buffing her STR to do more damage. But her damage is not that stellar, and she doesn't have damage reduction passive. Her utility is pretty low. She will be receiving an SS grade, but it's something that is easy to skip and will be less and less useful as time comes. It's worth to say that she gets a new style in Christmas, and this one is kind of similar to Chooser. She has a skill that will just give her a chase mechanic. It's just the same attack again. She has a nest power attack with 39, but then she chases with the same attack, and you can use this 3 times per battle. And she has a very strong attack that farms row stages, so there's that. Her damage output is pretty good, and she damage blocks and has a damage reduction passive with high protect tension. Much better character in my opinion. And the next style is Ellen Punch, and she's now a martial artist, and martial artists need STR and agility in order to do damage. And she can inherit access skills, hence why they gave her some dexterity points. And this is kind of bad because it's a character that actually feels like a hybrid, and other martial artists will not need dexterity points, so they reduced her endurance and will in order to give her dexterity. So she's gonna take some damage. Besides that, we have double arrows for agility and 1 arrow for STR. If you want to get double arrows for STR, you need at least this summer version, this one here, or the first limited style of her. Now, first passive is called Warrior's Might 2. On the start of a turn, she has a 50% chance to grant herself attack boost and defense boost of large effect. The attack boost increases damage by 20%, it's the same as Sumire. The defense boost gives her 25% damage reduction. Both effects will last for 2 turns. She will also recover 2 BP. The thing is, on average, 50% over 2 turns means that you usually get once every 2 turns, decreasing damage by 25. Not as much as high protect tension, for example, but when she's lucky, she triggers these 2 times, and these 2 effects will stack, meaning that minus 25 and then again minus 25. But too unreliable, just like the BP generation that she gets. Second passive is called Revitalize 4. On the end of a turn, 25% chance to recover her HP by around 800 and also recover 4 BP. This is a mix of 2 different passives from the past, and it's not reliable. 25% chance may help her on remembrance, but on real case scenarios, not much. The last passive is called Spirit Sundering Strike. It gives her 40% damage increase at all times, just like Fired Up 7, but also has another effect. When she lands an overdrive attack, she will apply Sundered to your enemy that lasts for 2 turns. But what is Sundered? It's a special effect that you can apply to the enemy that once this enemy gets hit by your characters, you can apply defense down of 10% reduction that lasts for 1 turn. Well, this could be interesting, right? Let's say you use Alan in Overdrive, in a boss fight, and then you use Lian right after. Lian will trigger this with each hit of his bullets. That means that he will trigger it 6 times. So minus 10, minus 10, minus 10, minus 10, minus 10, minus 10. That means that each new bullet will do a little more damage, just like his Attack Bullet, that increases his damage by using attack boosts. Here you are applying defense down in the enemies. The other characters they attack right after Leon will also benefit. But there is one problem. Ellen is better used with Pianoff Victory buff. That means you'll be buffing STR, Endurance, Agility, and Intelligence. Leon is better used with Pianoff Peace. That buffs Dexterity, Will, Love, and Charisma. So they don't exactly match. Ellen actually matches better with Global X Silver, another character that has multi-hits, although not as much as Leon. She also benefits from Pianoff Victory, so if you want to see this in action, you can use them together. But in my opinion, it does not change too much as you may expect. A little extra damage may shorten one turn from a boss fight. And she's pretty fast, that means that she will usually go before the boss. But in my opinion, it does not change much the flow of battle. It may shorten one turn from a boss fights, but I don't know, if you have the control of the fight, a little extra damage may not matter too much because you need to bring Ellen, and Ellen is not exactly that good as some other damage dealers by herself. So let's talk about the skills. The first one is called Punishing Rush. For 3 BP, you have a knee power attack with 8 mod. Whoa, pretty weak, right? But it comes with an effect. You will recover a random value between 2, 4, or 6 BP. If she recovers 2, in my opinion, it's bad because you are actually using 1 BP for this attack that is almost the same as a normal attack. You have a chance of 4 and 6. That means that 67% of the time you'll be getting more than you spent, but 33% of the time you'll be wasting BP. Then the second skill is called All Out Ellen Punch. We have a 9 BP cost for triple S damage and 69 mod. 69 is actually pretty high on the triple S power. And we can compare this to Golden Note Plus from Mikhail and many other rapier users that has actually 68 for the same cost. Pretty much the same. But there's one big problem. This attack has delay. It means that you only attack after the enemies. This limits her combo potential with other characters and also her farming potential, especially because her next attack is so costly. And then the third attack is called Shenlong Fire Fist, a 14 BP attack with 4S damage. Well, we are getting some 4S potential attacks with lower than that. We have Gustave and even, Khan, characters that have even higher damage output with lower cost. So there is that. Well, the second and third attack don't have any sort of effect, and you have to rely on getting more BP with her passives in order to use them more often. She has no damage reduction passive, at least she has this defense boost that triggers with a chance. That means in a long fight, you can just keep using Punishing Rush till you get close to 20 BP. You need to bring buffers in order to take more advantage of her damage output, and then on Overdrive you can simply use either Shenlong Fire Fist or All Out Ellen Punch in order to do damage. As for inheritance, we need to inherit X skills, and the ones that make sense to me come from her latest X style. And we have Deadly Spin, a 4S attack that deals Slash and Blunt. This one has 77 mod, while Shenlong Fire Fist has 84 mod. It's good to inherit because there may be that time where you only have 12 BP available and not 14 because she recovers BP randomly. And there's also Quick Spin if you want to use it instead of her skill number 1, but I guess it just kind of breaks her idea. But buffs STR by 25% on max level. That means that it also increases her damage even as a martial artist, but not as much as a skill that buffs both STR and agility like Alkaiser has access to. And the other one comes from her summer style. You can get Beach Cocktail Plus. This is fast and applies Morale Up Large, that increases damage by 35%, and Guard Up Large, that decreases damage by 35%. Both effects last for 2 turns. She can be used as a support unit using Beach Cocktail on one dedicated character that needs sustain. If she uses it herself, she takes advantage of the Guard Up for 2 turns, but the Morale Up only for 1 turn. You could use Beach Cocktail once and then use a damage attack, then Beach Cocktail once again, and another attack, because she may need that extra defense. But I believe that this version of Ellen may be more useful on Remembrance, if you are having difficulty there, but martial arts for Remembrance is not a problem. We have plenty of good styles that uses martial arts as equipment, especially because gods and deities can also use it there, so the value of Ellen reduces a lot. Some may say that this Sundered effect can help do more damage in boss fights, but we can also just bring, for example, Cindy together with Leon will do a lot more damage in a boss fight, and you don't really need to wait to overdrive to apply the Sundered. So they kind of have a different design with Ellen, but it's just that it does not translate into a very useful unit. Sadly, Ellen will receive a standard SS grade, is a character that can be used now for good damage, but essentially drops in utility as time goes. Ellen will get a future style, and she gets back in using axes, and does not benefit from any of the skills of her martial artist style. She actually benefits much more from the last Axis style because she can buff STR with a sheep attack. She can also use 4S attack with 12 BP cost. She herself comes with an attack that heals for Remembrance, for example. She also has this attack that buffs STR with each hit. Very nice. And Saturn Blade is a double S attack that will give her 1 BP on the end of a turn. She also be applying Morale Up, has a lot of damage passives, and can also resist damage. So, in my opinion, this version of Ellen is much similar to Emilia, that she had a martial artist style that does not fit into the future, so hence why it's so easy to skip. And the last style is Seeker Youthcom Asura. He's a martial artist with a focus on counter mechanics. His STR and agility are not that high, so his damage has some limitation. His endurance is 95%, and his will is 113. That's actually good, because even if you want to use him for counter, and he is going to counter only physical direct attacks, sometimes there is another enemy that will attack you with ailments or debuffs, so he will resist well. Then, the first passive is called Hostile Battle Charge. He starts the battle with 13 BP, and when he lands an overdrive attack, he recovers all surviving allies BP by 1. This is important because he enters overdrive attack with the support skill. And when you do that, you will trigger overdrive every time that you counter. So let's say you waited to overdrive and then you use one of his skills that enter a counter stance. Each counter hit will give 1 BP to the party. But this is better on text than actual combat, and I will explain why later. Then we have Iron Wall Defense 6 that decreases damage by 40% at all times, and then Fired Up 7 increasing damage for 40% at all times. So both offense, defense, and this special effect. Then for skills we have Crush Beat Plus. For 5 EP you get an 8 power attack that deals critical against rock. Well, he's not going to use this attack anyway. Then the second is called Spatial Persona, an 8 PP attack that deals blunt damage and can inflict instant kill. We have 71% intelligence, some enemies will be instant killed, some others won't, but if you want instant kill there are many other options like Albert, Darkade as well. It's the same attack that Fairy uses. Fairy will do a little more damage, she has better passives, but she can only use this once, while Asura can use 2 times in a row. But Asura is not that good for farming anyway, this is just here. Let's say you want to finish a boss and you only have these 2 attacks, so you use it. Because the main selling point of Asura is to use Asura's Revenge. This is a support skill with 13 BP cost that enters a defensive counter stance for 1 turn, and he will then counter all direct attacks with Asura's Revenge. That is a full AoE attack with triple S blunt damage. Oh my god, yes, a counter with triple S. Many counters will only reach triple S with single target. He's reaching triple S with full AoE. I guess you could compare him to Fornews, just so that you know how strong this attack is. Fornews counter with an S power attack only, while he's counter with triple S, it's a lot of damage, even though he does not have so much damage passives and his status is not that high. Well, you could say that Asura was made to finish fights in one turn. Let's say you are in a fight that has multiple enemies, and they attack 1 or 2 times, and then you bring Asura in a formation like Tiger's Den or Desertlands Axe, because that one will increase his damage even further. And then you cast plenty of buffs and see the enemies attacking him and getting countered till they die. But you really need to kill the enemies in one turn, or at least leave them in such a weak state that you can kill them right after, because Asura Revenge is just too costly. What are you gonna do with Asura? Just normal attacks until you can use Asura's Revenge again. So it's nice, it's a hat trick that can be used in some situations. People will be making videos of Asura clearing a stage by himself, but I have to say that you can do all stages with different strategies. You will never actually need Asura to clear a boss fight. You can still do with different mechanics. Now we have so many defensive methods. We have Global Axe and Press that can negate damage. She also has a shield that decreases damage. We have Scrum Guard. We have many buffers. So Asura is just another method of clearing content that is made for him to clear. And we won't find many fights where he will shine, but those that have him will say, whoa, I can only do this because Asura is so powerful in this specific situation. The other bad thing about Asura is that his counter is only blunt damage, and well, I much prefer people like Urpina, and her Global Axe style now adds even more utility to the counter strategy. She can use the Torrent attack, and it deals damage before she enters an evasive stance. She will always evade, counters with 8 power. I know, it's like half the damage, but she hits for Slash and Pierce. Different elements, but if you are in a stage with 6 enemies and they are not weak to the same things, she can at least do neutral damage. Now imagine Asura against a stage with 6 enemies, 3 of them are weak to blunt, 3 of them are resistant to blunt. He will only help you kill the ones that are weak to blunt. What about the other 3? That reduces his utility by a lot, and well, you would prefer to bring someone else or use a different strategy in that case. Asura would still take an SS grade because, well, he's powerful. It's just extremely limited and very easy to skip in my opinion. Well, back to the banner image, is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, no. It will only receive a bronze award. Sumire is a damage dealer that has a very strange design. Sometimes she wants to counter, sometimes she self-heals. She does not have big sustain for long fights, and her counter mechanic is too weak. Then we have Ellen, a character that relies too much on RNG to do damage, has an extra gimmick for overdrive, but that is not enough to justify bringing her in a boss fight. And Asura is a very powerful nuker on very specific situations. So none of that will matter too much in the long run, and the meta will change into different directions. So I will be skipping this banner. But what about you? Did you summon for them? What do you think about it all? Say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you still haven't. If you want to support the channel, there are links on the description. I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye.